Welcome to an episode of InRange. I'm here today with the Flux Raider Legion because the future is now. Let's see how this goes. Let's talk about it. Is it new? It's been around for years now, right?
Yeah, I can't tell you exactly how long, but what made this interesting to me is that SIG decided to sell it as a factory gun.
Now you buy this ready to go. You didn't make this, you bought it, it came like this.
No, and quite frankly, that's one of the things that made me more comfortable about buying it and using it in various ways on camera is I'm not assembling it. I'm not having intent with my assembly of it per ATF regulations. I just bought an off-the-shelf gun.
And there it is. Now, the concept of a stocked pistol is by no means new. We've seen stock pistols going back all the way to the Civil War era with like 1860 Colts. In World War I, you see like the artillery Luger, and you see the C-96 broom-handle Mauser. And then, of course, the NFA comes along, 1934, and stock pistols sort of just disappear because there isn't a market for them, because it's not feasible. I mean, cost prohibitive at best. And if you're going to do that, you'll just get something else. But now, in the situation we're in currently, in 2024, while we're recording this, we're back to a braced pistol that is similar in concept to those original designs. The thing about this is this a PCC? Is it an augmented pistol? Is it like, where does this land in terms of those sorts of things?
Right, and it's somewhere between using a handgun by itself and somewhere between using a short-barreled PCC.
So you went out and you actually did something that only you would do, which is a good thing. You actually shot this from a ransom rest?
No, so I shot this from a just sandbagged.
Okay, so you bagged it and shot it from the bench.
Correct.
And you were getting
about 3 to 3.5 inch groups at 25 yards.
And isn't that about the same thing you get from something like this?
Well, my better striker fired pistols with the same ammo at the same distance can do 1.5 inches.
Okay.
But 2 to 2.5 inches is fairly typical for a striker fired polymer pistol. 3.5 to 4 is like the upper edge of acceptable accuracy for a tilting barrel striker fired pistol at 25 yards.
So it's within acceptable parameters. So what we're dealing with there is, to the best of the ability with from the bench, the mechanical accuracy of the gun. But that makes sense, right? So like if a standard SIG shoots 3 inches or 3.5 inches because it's a pistol, and that's what they do, and this is a standard SIG pistol in a thingamajig, it's still basically a pistol.
Yeah, it's not going to make it any more accurate because you have a brace on it. What you do potentially have an increase of is practical accuracy.
That's where I think we're going with this. So what we've done is we've set up some targets here. We've got a spinner at 10 yards, and we've got a steel plate at 45 yards. What I think we should do is use this, see how we do, and then use this as our control and see how we do. And that should give us some feeling about the practical accuracy improvements that come from the Flux Raider versus just a standard pistol. Because a regular PCC is going to be better no matter what, right?
Right. A fixed barrel design is going to be inherently more accurate. I mean, for the record, zeroing a PCC on the same day at the same range with a fixed barrel, I got a 1/2 inch group at 25 yards.
Fair enough.
So,
shall we get to it?
Sure. All right, so this is based around a SIG 320. This is actually a factory pistol from SIG right now with the ATF brace ruling reversed. And it has a 3.9 inch barrel with a comp milled into the slide. So that's a bit different. Normally we've seen comps attached to the end of the barrels, but this is incorporated into the slide assembly itself. Any standard 320 slide assembly can go onto this. To deploy the brace, you're going to go here with your trigger finger as a right-hand shooter, and that deploys it all the way out. You will see that the features of the brace lock into the frame, but there's also notches, so you can go shorter with it if you want, in a few different settings there. But generally, if you go to the spring deployment, it's going to lock all the way open. And it does ship with a right-handed brace, so if you wanted to use it as a arm brace, it does function for that purpose. It has a QD socket on this side, so if you want to run it with a sling, you can. And this does have a manual safety, so that's on safe right now, and you would go down for fire, it is ambidextrous for the safety selector. And the reason you'd want a manual safety on this versus on a handgun that's standalone is there is the potential to sling it, so you don't want it dangling around without a manual safety where the trigger could potentially catch on something. The magazine release system is perhaps the most interesting component because of the way it works. So as a right-handed shooter, you want to drop the primary magazine, you push forward on that magazine release. It also has a spare magazine well in the front. Pushing the rear mag release does not actuate the front magazine. But to conduct a speed reload, you can grab this tab on the inside here, push it all the way in, drops the rear mag, and you can pull the front mag back into the mag well. It's pretty quick. And of course, as the engraving on this says, this is not a vertical foregrip. It is a magazine well. It's nice that they let us know that there. Now, as a left-handed shooter, it is ambidextrous, sort of. And the reason for that is to actuate the mag release as a left-handed shooter, I can't really use this thing here. I have to use this button at the front here, like an AR mag release. So I'd be using my right hand to actuate that control. Now, it field strips the same way as a regular 320 does. Lock the slide back, take down lever forward, slide assembly comes off. Reinstall all the way back, lock it open, put the lever back into place there. Now the optic attaches to this rail here. The rail itself is polymer, so you need to take care not to over torque your screws when installing optics on this, because you could potentially deform the polymer when doing so. This is a SIG MSR red dot. It's one of their more inexpensive red dots available right now, but I do have it zeroed at 25 yards.
Yep. So we're going to start with the control. This is just a pistol, spinner at 10 yards with a timer, starting by aiming at the bottom plate.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Over 19.26.
Not a great run. Not a great run. Now the Flux Raider Legion.
All right. Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. .40.
That's dramatic. Let's have Russell do it. Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. .44. Are you ready?
Ready.
Stand by. .25.
That might not have been the most intelligent way to shoot it, but it did give me the ability to just hammer it over.
It did. Should we do it one more time for secondary data?
Sure.
All right.
Over 1566.
I'm having a hard time with this pistol.
.96.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there's a pretty dramatic difference for me. .82. Over 3.96. So this is the control. We've got a target at 45 yards. We got 10 rounds in the magazine. At buzzer, I'm going to dump all 10 rounds, see how many hits I got, and that's going to give us hit factor as our control. I'm going to start aiming at the target, and when you hit the buzzer, I'll start shooting.
All right, shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
I dropped 2.
4.89 seconds.
4.89, dropped 2 rounds. Same thing with the Flux. Starting on target.
All right, shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by.
I dropped 2 as well.
In 3.61 seconds.
So I dropped 2, got a little ahead of myself, but did it faster. Your turn. You dropped 2 just like I did.
Yep.
6.77. No rounds dropped, 4.34. Only dropped 1 that time.
5.79.
No rounds dropped.
4.36.
Two rounds dropped, 4.83. One round dropped, 4.02. Well, honestly, I did better with that than I thought I would.
There was a bigger difference than I expected there to be.
Yep. So we saw this. First of all, you're the spinner meister, right? We know this. Like, so you have spinners. You shoot what? Spinners every weekend, twice a Saturday, Sunday, every month.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. So
dry fire at my ceiling fan to practice.
Awesome. So I don't, and we saw that in the differential on the spinner. You were faster with the handgun. That said, one thing we should talk about is neither of these guns, this one nor that pistol, these were the first rounds fired on the clock by both of us, completely dry.
Right.
So that SIG handgun for me, for whatever reason, was shooting left. Doesn't matter. I figured it out. We both had the same situation, same conditions, guns we haven't used before.
Right.
Okay. So, but we saw the differential. This on the spinner was hugely differential for me. I mean, like I went from 15 seconds to 5. On long range, I dropped less rounds and was slightly faster. You with the spinner, you were still faster with this, but not by as much.
Right.
But you were more accurate at distance.
Yep. And the main thing I noticed is like much easier to track sights.
Yeah, it is.
Where I was missing on the far target, like I called the miss as soon as I pulled the trigger because the dot was just dancing off the edge as I pulled it. My timing was off. Or this, like the dot dancing around was all within the silhouette. So
we both went into this a little skeptical. Oh, we just parred out. We both went into this a little skeptical, but I'm going to go ahead and go with, and I got to hear yours, but this is a hot take. First time I've used this ever. I like it. I would want it.
I think it has a niche application where if you don't care about the size,
Yeah.
it has certain benefits.
In a holster, this is pretty clunky, yeah?
Yep.
However, it's a lot less clunky than carrying around a PCC.
Yeah, or even like a very tiny PDW style PCC.
Yeah, this is kind of somewhere. All these things start cutting the bologna thinner and thinner, right? Or salami. It's a salami attack. You've got pistol, this thing, PDW, PCC, or maybe somewhere like that. And the incremental improvement is incremental. But this was kind of significant.
Yeah, and the other thing that we didn't test today that we run into at matches is like now imagine you're huffing and puffing and fatigued and trying to make the same shots.
So are we going to be doing that at Cyberpunk?
Yeah, we will be.
Yeah, so we have Cyberpunk coming up and we're going to do more with this gun there. But overall, when we were talking on the phone before you got here, like, did this change your opinion a little bit in the field?
Yeah, putting on the clock changed my opinion to being more useful. Like zeroing it at the range, I was not necessarily impressed with it.
Sure.
Like, oh, it's just as good as a handgun.
Yeah.
But the practical benefits of increased stability, sight picture not moving around as much, controllability, all come into play when you're shooting at targets on the clock.
Now, this is a full-size handgun. You said they're going to be doing a version of this with the P365?
Yeah, and that one is honestly a little more interesting to me because it fits more into the space that you could carry a normal handgun. And the optic on that one is still mounted to the slide.
Interesting. So we don't know if there's flex going on here, but that could be better. May not make a difference. This will get shorter. This will get shorter. The gun will be smaller, but the brace deployment will be a little shorter.
Maybe. I know they're offering different lengths.
Maybe it could even extend beyond the length of the gun. So that in a holster might be more viable.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty big. Still a lot smaller than any other. So I'm going to go with, I'm a little jelly. I like it. I kind of want one.
I'm going to use it more and get a more solid opinion on it. We're gonna have other shooters use it more. I think the results for today speak for themselves so far. Long term, more benefits in different situations or costs in different situations. You know, we tend to be more thorough about coming up with complete opinions on things, but for now, it is helping quite a bit under certain circumstances.
Right off the bat, if you weren't trying to do it with a holster, but you put a sling in that QD swivel, and you were going hiking, or you were going in the field, having this hanging on a single point would be pretty non-invasive for you.
Or one of those chest bag things.
Yeah.
Where it's just, you know, there in a bag to be pulled out of rather than a holster.
Holster's possible, but other carry methods, especially if you're like going out for a hike or in the field or something like that, or camping, this I think comes in its own a little bit. Anyways, there's going to be more about it, but that said, this was purchased.
Yep.
We did not get this for free. No one sent this to us. Sig didn't bless us with magic pixie dust.
This was funded by Sinistral Surplus, selling off old guns and equipment to purchase new guns and equipment.
Along with the ammunition and some of the stuff coming from Patreon supporters, from people like you at patreon.com/InRangeTV. The reason we can do reviews like this that are truly non-biased is because we're supported by you, the viewer, and by our own funds, and not by any corporate overlords, no masters, no gods, just what we do. So if you like that, patreon.com/InRangeTV, and stay tuned for more, because we're going to put a lot more effort into this. We're going to have it at we're going to have it at Moonshine Brutality in the Cyberpunk Division, which is what the Cyberpunk Division's about, and we're going to have more videos really thoroughly testing this concept, because at this moment, I think it has merit.
Definitely.
See you soon.